early, I think about 10 minutes early. But there's a few things I want to go over before we really get back into the tour. So first, let me put up my tweet so don't forget that. I've been trying to be really good about that, not forgetting. So okay. Firstly, there was an individual that posted about they're having accidentally created all of their place decor at one point. I guess it was yesterday, day before yesterday, and I meant to mention it during yesterday's stream, and I forgot. But I wanted to remind folks that uh, accidents do happen. I've done it myself. I know of several other builders that have done it. But if you're really looking to kind of save yourself a lot of heartache, I just want to remind that there is a tool that you can use that can save um, your build, either in part or in whole, depending on how you want to do it. And it is the Katya's Builder Toolkit add-on, KBT, as we often refer to it. You can find that on Curse. There is a thread, I think, that she maintains in the housing subforum where she puts in updates or people that use it and posts suggestions for future features that they want to see the tool have and all of that. But it does have the ability to save what we call a set, a decor set. And like I said, that can be a portion or it can be the entire plot. Now, I don't know how it works in conjunction with communities. I haven't really taken a look to see if she has updated to cover such an expansive amount, but I know at least for an individual plot build, you can save the entire thing. There's coding and stuff. Now, the difference between a full set, the full plot of, thousands of decor potentially, and maybe say saving a couch set or something, is the ability to share that build with someone. Because the ability to kind of provide someone else with a KBT code that they can input into theirs, I think it's limited to like 250, 300 or something decor. Um, Now that might have changed. I'm talking, a little while back, since the last time I've actually used it in that way. But I know there was some limitation in that regard. Now, if it's just you and you're like, say, you want to have a full plot build, and you decide you want to move it to an alt, I believe that is possible. The main thing you have to make sure is that you have all of the decor that is required of that build, um, and of course the space for it and all of that jazz. But it is possible to save yourself. Say you're working on a plot and maybe you've gotten to a point where you're really happy with it, but then you want to make some changes, and that might involve moving some things around, and you don't want to potentially lose whatever you already have. You could save it in its state that it is before you start making your modifications. It's also very helpful for those that, in the beginning when you start a build, most of us suggest that if you're planning to use fab kits of any kind, to put those down first so that you can obviously build around them as you need, rather than trying to remove some stuff and squeeze it in, because when the fab kit goes down, it kind of removes stuff that is in the direct vicinity of that fab kit. And we've had a lot of builders talk about the pains of going through that. Well, KBT does allow you to kind of quickly replace things that are removed during that process. So again, if you're looking to save yourself some time and anguish, really consider investing in downloading and using the KBT add-on to kind of alleviate a lot of that. Now, it would depend on how often you save your existing plot or set or whatever. I used to get into the habit of like labeling it like version 1, version 2, version 3, and just keeping notes in a notebook as to what version meant what and everything, just so that if I decided I wanted to go back to a previous version of the build, but not maybe all the way, then I had some choices in that regard. But just it's kind of like working in a Word document, you know. It doesn't have an auto save function. You just have to remember to save it periodically. So, you know, if you're going to be spending umpteen hours modifying your plot, every hour or so, or a few hours, you know, make a point to save your progress so that you don't lose anything in case something really goes poorly, or you accidentally are so tired you don't recognize that you're about to create everything, and then regret it severely later. So yeah, and there too, there has been instances where we've had players that have roommated other players, considered them trustworthy, and then had some issues where they created everything and caused some rifts between individuals. So this is a way to kind of guard against that if you're not 100% keen on someone having full-on control of your plot. I think obviously the best way to avoid that is not to roommate anybody, but it happens and there's necessity for it sometimes. So just something to keep in mind if you're going to get into housing for any extensive work and you want to preserve it as best as you can. So I just wanted to bring that up. Also, I noticed that Sunshine has posted this month's little kind of breakdown of events that are coming in the next days, weeks. So I wanted to mention a few that would involve decor becoming available and such. Like I believe the Boss Hunter Challenge has some things. That's going to start tomorrow, the 6th, and run through the 9th. There's also the residential renovation that I mentioned yesterday. It's a monthly event. Um, it'll be the Exile and Dominion reward sets. That becomes available April 13th through the 20th. And let's see if there's anything else. There's a lot of costumes and mounts and stuff that are also becoming available. But just a heads up on that for those of you that are anxiously awaiting. Again, the monthly event rotates. I think it's every 3 months. So there's like 3 sets of loot packages, and each time it comes around, they just rotate to the next one. So if you missed out on a specific one that you were hoping for, or you didn't get enough of that particular decor, just wait around and it'll come back eventually. I think there's an actual post in the housing subforums of some builders requesting that they kind of include additional decor, specifically PvP acquired decor. Make it also part of the renovation event. I don't know how well that'll play over because I know there's a lot of people that feel like, well, if you can only acquire certain decor in a certain manner, it makes it a little bit more worthwhile for those that actually participate in those methods of acquisition, and allows them to, you know, earn extra monies or whatever. Some like the exclusivity about it, but for builders who need multiples of a certain item in many instances, it can become a major drag trying to acquire those if they're already super rare. So maybe that will be considered as far as adding PvP types of decor that are normally only acquired in that way and are super difficult to get, especially for those of us that don't participate in PvP. I know many of those items are bind on pickup, so it's absolutely required for you to get into PvP if you want those specific items. So yeah, I would be one for you know, having an alternative means of getting some certain items. So yeah. So just another thought. Again, that's in the housing subforum if you want to throw in your 2 copper worth of input and all that jazz. Okay, so good morning, Bones, and anyone else that happens to be lurking around in the channel. Um, Again, I appreciate those of you that are able to join us, and those of you that are tweeting and retweeting and following and otherwise supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Um, I definitely am not one to do a lot of my own, promotional blurbs or whatever. I tweet, when I'm streaming, but I don't like constantly spam my feed with reminders and stuff. So I appreciate those that help get the word out, especially for those newer players that are coming in and aren't aware of the channel and may actually find some useful information here and inspiration, of course, from all of the tours that we've been doing. Um, yeah, so we are back on the Marauders Hideout community plot located on Entity NA. We toured, let me see if I'm hitting the right button here. We toured the first two-ish plots. There was one little bit that I noticed that I didn't think we actually covered yesterday. So I'm kind of perched in the spot to kind of get us quickly there. But you can see how this little, I don't know what you want to call it, little city type thing is built up. You've got the towers and all the layered bits. The instance house is down here. There's a bunch of different little shops and stuff over here. And then of course the areas above ground. Now this particular like center tower, it's got multiple tunnels and such, and so it's easy to get kind of turned around or forget where you've been and where you haven't been. And I think that's how we overlook this little uh, exit, if you want to call it. But if you enter up into this, I guess it's the third or fourth level, you can find yourself on this little track here. And it basically just kind of winds itself up along. It's also a good place to take some screenshots of this area, simply due to the height. Uh, they don't have a lot of trees and stuff to cover your view, so it makes it a great spot for screenshotting and get camera away. You see how complicated, there's just so much stuff going on. You from these vantage points also, you can kind of see the edging. Again, these are those taurine heads, taurine statue, head statue or figures or something. The one with the lady's face on the one side with the blue eyes, and if you turn it, it just looks like plain old rock with a little bit of markings and the mossy bits blobbed on there. Not much. It's just a little, they've added like a little living space here for the lookout, I guess. I don't even know what this piece is actually called. Right here. They've added some things to it, like the speakers and such, but beyond that, I don't think there's much more to notice. I think most of it is a standalone item. Now, I could be wrong. Again, I don't use a lot of those particular things. There's like the exiled, not a lighthouse thing. It's like some kind of words right on the tip of my tongue, like a siege tower or something. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure that we took a look up there so that we didn't miss anything. And if I have inadvertently missed anything, my apologies to the builder. It's not intentional, it's just how it happened to work out. Again, it's a good incentive for people to actually come to these places and visit in person rather than completely relying on me, because while I do my best to catch it all, it's not necessarily going to work every time. Now again, most of the water in this plot is the newer waterfalls. You can tell by the the misty, steamy water coming up and the animation that it has. Again, they've used it pretty cleverly. We've seen from a little higher up areas where the water's actually come over. Yes, it doesn't like follow the contour of the stones as perfect as one would hope, but I think just because of the nature of how the items are built in the first place, there's no guarantees that's going to be perfect every time. But I think it looks awesome, especially for someone that's want to do, even if they're not having an open sky area, if they're just doing a complete cave, a lot of these little setups look incredible and would work in many places, not just in this setup, but jungles, cave interiors, um, even like a desert area that has like maybe an oasis kind of thing going on in the center of the plot. Most of the stones are, of course, like I said, the terrene heads, but there's also the stepping stones from Starcom Basin. And then I'm not sure what these are. I can't tell if they're the edge of the taurine head, because it's kind of a thin uh, item, or if it's part of some of those like building blocks from some of the newer decor packages that like have the curbs and the walls and such. I have a suspicion it's mostly the taurine heads, but again, sometimes it's difficult to tell. Okay, so this is where you would zone in if you were coming into this plot as a standalone rather than visiting via the community entrance. Again, you can see how they've managed to completely modify. You hardly even see evidence of the portal that you normally would see, the ramp and everything. And again, that's through the use of uh, either upside down snowy hills or um, the upside down massive umbrella tree. And then, of course, they've managed to squeeze in all of the stones and the mossy overgrowth, some of those spring decor pack plants, flowers. This here, I think, is that copper gate. I like how they've kind of turned it by adding on that warning sign and making it look like a kind of a billboard type of thing. I think that suits it really well. And it's just little things like that that kind of modifies it a little bit. Works good. Bones, you and your puns and stuff. Okay, let's see if we can move on to the next one. Get across here. I mean, obviously I can get across wherever I want, but I'm trying to kind of follow the flow of the plots here. Okay, so this is, I think, I don't remember the name of this thing. Yeah, Mordecai's Revenge by Trader Mahana. Again, look at how they've done the waterfalls. It just looks like a flowing river lake kind of thing. And the way they've made sure everything kind of flows into the same spot. But the namesake, Mordecai's Revenge, is obviously referring to this, if I can get a good vantage point here, this ship. Pardon me. Trying not to blurb it up with the water here, but you can see the ship is pretty large. It's got the mast up ahead, up above are, I think it's the Skeech banners, and I think the mast stick things, the poles themselves, are some of the Red Moon pillars, whatever. I guess that's what that other thing was back over here that we climbed up a little bit ago. You can tell that by all of the like tentacle bits that are on it. I'll just leave it. I have a feeling I'm going to need it again. Excuse me. Um, Again, the standalone tentacles, those come from the Palavar Point Daily. It's one of the higher end zones for capped uh, level cap players. Um, I think it's limited to that. And it's also it has a daily that you can do, and you have a chance of getting either um, one of the various tentacle arrangements or like the sewage pipes with the gunk coming out of the pipe and things like that. There's like an end cap and a vertical pipe, and there's just like a whole bunch. There's other things too. I think there's a pet you can get as well among some other doodads, but for us, we're specifically focusing on the decor, so it's a good place to go if you think you have to kill a couple of mobs there or something on the little asteroid or whatever you're floating around on. Uh, Pretty basic, not anything terribly rough to do. These bits here, I think, are from some of the spaceship decor. I think the front end here is like engine pieces. I'm not entirely sure what the main body of this is. Little shape. I don't know if that's just an oversized oaring gondola or what. Kind of hard for me to see when I came here looking a little bit before. But like this, I think that's some wings or flanges from, again, spaceship parts. You can see one of the wolf head decor chains on it. I think it's supposed to be behaving as like an anchor. Um, Again, some Osun bits. I think that's a pillar of some sort. Or it could be the weapons rack so that it has it on both sides. The empty one and one that actually has the weapons on. Let me see if I can find the way to get up here. Again, a ship part. Yeah, I think this is an oversized gondola because I think that's like the little, what do you call it, a rudder thingy in the back. But like, look here how they've used the waterfalls to make it look like the water is coming from this source, the waterfall, and then sloping down into this little lake river thingy. I mean, clearly the water isn't deep like that, but I thought this was the fun way. I've never seen someone actually slant the water down like this. Obviously, if your camera moves down below, it's clearly paper thin, but I like the illusion of it, the water source being sloped like this. We'll hop onto the boat via the ramp. Just multiples of those little rampy things. Again, some of those Osun chain links. I believe this is the captain's quarters. I assume it looks pretty fancy schmancy. Notice these are multiples of those red drapes to make this kind of canopied bed. The flooring, I'm not quite sure what they're using. It looks like 2x4s. It's kind of hard to tell. The texture looks about right. This doesn't look quite. This might be just the edge of the wall here, but those are the Cassian walls. A lot of people like use these in particular for like red carpet kind of uh, scenes, like if they're doing like a throne room or something. That makes it look a little bit more extravagant, I guess. And it looks like they're using two by fours to kind of create a bit of a pattern. Fireplace is nifty looking. It's just Draken floors, that grating that you get from Arctera. And then it looks like, oh, what the heck is that thing called? It's a thing from Shades Eve, I think. The big tall tower of fire and stuff. I don't remember what. It's not like the Burning Man thing, but it's sort of kind of like it. There's actually a fab kit of one, and then we have an actual decor piece that looks like it, and people can make it like miniature size. I think that's what this is, just based off of how the sticks and stuff are laid in there and how the fire is behaving. You can see like the little platforms and stuff, because the fab kit version is like a jumping puzzle. You have to jump all the way up to the top to complete it or something, which I totally failed at, but anyway. Mostly 2x4s, even for the mantle here. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Looks pretty good. I mean, if you have that particular decor piece and don't have anywhere else to put it, turn it into a fireplace. It's awesome. Awesome look. I think that's it for his room. And then up here is, yeah, I think that's a Osun weapon rack that they're using for this part here. You can see that waterfall and the slope of the water here. I think this is supposed to be like the um, control part for the ship, at the ship's wheel and everything. And Macari table. A lot of people like to use that thing. A little view of where we come around into. This is the plot we were at previously. Just walked around the boardwalk section. And this appears to be the meeting room for, I would assume, the captain and all of his crew. The long table is basically just three of the Dominion conference tables stick together end to end. Fireplace seems similar as well. And it looks like just, I don't know if it's maintenance platforms or just regular metal platforms that are being used to cover the interior of that gondola so that you can't go down inside it. So I guess this is kind of like the crow's nest for the ship, or one of them. I'll take a look off the direction. I'm just kind of trying to see where all of this is taking us. Okay, so get past the mast here. Away on the bridge. So you see how high up we are? They're basically just joining the two little tower bits, or crow's nests, if you want to call them that. It's a pretty massive boat. Because it's more of a solid object at the base, it kind of alleviates them having to come up with a lot of like the cargo hold and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, I think that's an interesting use of the gondola for sure. Better there. Now, I'm trying to remember if this was one of the plots that didn't have an interior below, like prefab, what I'm mostly talking about. Here's the bunkers, got the beds and the lockers and their little quaint little entertainment area. Now, if you're wondering about the smoke, I've said before, if you're using like the toxic barrels or the bubbling cauldrons or even the teacup, if it's super oversized and stuff, the animation from the smoke or the fumes or whatever you want to call it um, extends pretty far. So you either have to just ignore that it goes through the floor if you have an upper area that's directly above it, or find clever ways of kind of disguising that it's coming through. Like I've seen some where they'll have like the kitchen down here like this, the bubbling cauldron, and then the smoke coming up, but right there they'll have like a fireplace, kind of helps let it blend in a little better. Um, or they purposely wall that area off so you don't see it, that kind of thing. Again, the weapons crate being used as a little fridge. Again, the blue, like lightning, electricity stuff that's from that body analyzer thingy, um, or bot analyzers, something along those lines. The one that a lot of people like to use for, I've seen them use it as phone booths and decontamination rooms and stuff like that. I think we even saw some using them as bed bunkers. Icicles for a little bit of extra, to try and play into it. They've got the uh, blue flare. That's what you see in that little weird glowing light in the smoke. And it looks like they're even using either a frost skull or I think it's that because of the little sharp animation that comes out. I wish they'd quit flickering. Um, it gives a little bit of an animation with the sparkles and stuff. I've also seen people using the buoyant blue crystal in that way. Others will throw in some of those ice cube decor that you get from Arcterra. I've seen some actually use the Arcterra formations. Some like to use the frozen lakes, like it's a frozen little bit of water that's puddled up in there. There's all sorts of ways to kind of make it look frosty. Even layering up some glass a little bit can lend it to that, to kind of play with that idea. Here's that same stove setup that we saw previously. Again, I don't know the name of that fiery pole thingy that we saw, but it's a tall thing. It's like a brazier of some sort, Draken, Falcon, one of those. And again, the ship hand lockers, magnetized containers, etc. Okay, I think that's it for the ship. Again, all of this, it looks to be that terrain head. It's a really pretty stone use. Now, I don't know where this particular item drops from. Uh, I don't even know the name of it. Marauder or something or other. This gives you a little bit better view of ship, where the captain's quarters is, the kitchen, and just how they've decorated it up. You can see a bit of that Taurine sword sticking out. Again, if you're wondering about this grassy wall, I think that is one of the, because you can tell kind of by the stretched texturing here, I think it's one of the snowy hills or some such, tilted, almost vertical. It's still matching the ground cover below, but it's kind of warped a little bit. That's why it looks a little stretchy here, like it's pixeled and smeared. I think that's what that is. A great effect, but yeah, I think that's what it is. So this walks us straight past the front end of this. You see here, I think where the guns and stuff are, I think that's part of one of those train cars. And then the animated part apparently is a Dominion cannon. Kind of handy when it's an interactable. It lights up for me, tells me what it is. Makes my job easy. Now, again, I think the potential interior for this plot, I think it's down around here somewhere, but I'm pretty sure there's nothing in it. But if you were to zone into this particular plot by itself, this is where you would pop in, rather than, again, the community spot. I'm going to see if I can locate where the bunker house would potentially be. Now, as far as some of these stones here, like the purple ones, I think that's the purple rock arch. Granted, they didn't have to leave them purple. That kind of gives it away, sort of, what it is, but it also kind of helps I don't know, it breaks up the monotony of all the gray stone, I think, and it does a really nice job of that. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, you get the little button to pop up. You can actually go inside it, but there's nothing in it other than some oversized stuffs. I think it's, people have learned that you can kind of put things inside. I have actually gotten myself stuck here. um, Inside the bunker house, and it'll actually show up outside if it's super, super large. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to report back. And it kind of, I think that's how Katya and them did the trees and stuff, like in the distance when they were playing around with scenery for like their beach-oriented role play houses and stuff. They figured out that you could put like super oversized pine trees inside the bunker house and then have like the tips of them be visible outside. It's just like a little quirky thing that happens, and to me, I think it would be awfully tough. I think Kaji said it was easier if you're working in conjunction with someone else, so that like they're on the outside and they can say, yeah, that looks great, and then direct you to move it if it needs to be adjusted a little bit or something. But I've never messed with it myself, so I don't know for sure how that works. I'm just going by what I read in the forums of people discussing how uh, what they've done to kind of modify and play around with decor in that way. So that might be why that oversized item is down in the bunker house. It might just be something that's actually visible out here, and it's kind of bleeding off into that instance interior. Okay, so again, there's really no interior to look at, so we'll just move on to the next spot. I'm kind of getting off of the path here because I really like the way they've done the rocks and the water in this area. A lot of these plants, the bushes here, the blue kind of leafy ones, the shell that you saw earlier, all of those come from the underwater decor pack. They've got a lot of uh, little doodads, perfect for those not only doing these kind of builds or beach scenes and stuff, but also those that are interested in making aquariums for like their home interiors and stuff. This is Mahana Alt 1 by Slapchop McGee. Pretty funny name, I think. Yeah, and you can see how much work they've put in on trying to make the rock formations organic looking enough where they're not like, perfectly straight and man-made looking. They've tried to make it as natural as possible. Let's see, I'm just gonna go around the edge first. So here again, we have a little pool forming from the waterfall that's coming down over here. I like how they've played around with the coloring of the space suite, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. It's just little things like that that really, again, it shows the care that the builder has taken to accentuate little details like that. I think that's pretty. Rather, I mean, they could have simply left them all blue, but they didn't. They opted to modify it just enough. So I believe this is where you would zone in again if you came into this plot individually. This slap shop's place. Again, it appears to be an upside down massive umbrella tree that's being used to create the round raising here and then blended in with a upside down snowy hill. That's where the white poofs are coming from. Gives it that illusion that there's a slopey hill, but it's really just a flat piece. Most of this building, I think, is 2x4s and tiki roofs, I think. This appears to be an abandoned bunker of some sort. I say abandoned because it's got all the cobwebs and things here. Yeah, you can see the tiki roofs. String lights, I think, I'm not really sure. Those don't look like the ones you get from the LOP decor pack. Those have like little dream catchers on. This might be from one of the newer decor packs from the cash shop. Again, this is one of those places that's great to get a good shot from above at the area down below. You see, it looks like they're using several different kinds of fab kits. I think that's I want to say that's the geyser one. Looks like they're using possibly, what's that called? The Protostar Winterfest house thingy. The cobwebs here with the called, it's like altered or something. I think those come from the Wooded Web Fab Kit challenge. You would think the other ones come from that, but no, I don't think it drops the normal ones like this without the augmented, I think is what it's called, augmented cobweb. Um, it gives this one, and I think this one here, or maybe not this one specifically, but the ones that's kind of like this, the regular looking ones, I think most of those are world drop, if I'm not mistaken. So here's a little kind of a banquet eatery thing. A little creepy that they're using the coffin as like a chill box, but there you go. Yes, it's again supposed to be kind of abandoned slash haunted with the ghosts there. A little better view of that tiered up waterfall rock feature here. See the ship in the distance. Again, if you're looking for that ghostly effect, this here, one of those haunted decor. There's one that's just the head, and then the other one with the angel head on it that does the same thing. I think it's that one, yeah. That can be haunted. I think this person just wanted a way of kind of using the Shades Eve decor, so they decided to put a little haunted feature up here. It looks like they're using the actual bunker decor for these windows and then just kind of dressing it up with 2x4 so you don't see it all. My impression anyway. So again, a little arcade room, game rooms, but again, it looks abandoned or whatever. Purely creepy. The bonfire here. Again, I don't want to go too far out. I think I'll be entering the next plot over. Really want it from here. Yeah, I think we can probably reach it from this little whirligig, so I'll back it up. You can see how big these are. Oversized buildings. Those could easily be shrunk down to make them into like little cabins, cabin size rather than actual huge facilities or whatever. Cheat a little bit and jump off. And let's go take a look at some of the inner area of the killer plot. So again, this appears to be one of those frame bits. I think it comes as a decor kit that you can get, and it comes with several of the pieces. You can use them however you want. They've obviously enlarged this one quite a bit, added the exile bulletin boards on either side to kind of make it look like a little bit of a barrier type of door. And then it looks like some kind of uh, hydroponics or kind of flower, not aquarium, greenhouse type of thing going on with all the plants. Now it looks like this is actually on top of an actual garden fab kit, and they've just blended it in so well, you almost can't tell. But since you can actually harvest these plants, that's what it's telling me, that it's actually the garden fab kit and they've modified it. We've seen others do that too, but not this elaborately. So I think this is pretty cleverly done. Go up here first. So it's a little bit of a station where maybe this is where they control the mechanics of the workings down here. Notice this is one of those new decor pieces. It's the Macari Jewel. It's all kind of weird and doctory looking. It's got the syringe type leggings. There's also a table and a sofa, I think, among other things possible. This, I think, is the Protostar, not a platform, but it's something along those lines. And then they've hooked up a bunch of the Sulfrost bits, including where the water is supposedly, like the water. Now, again, I'm not sure what all is actually part of the fab kit. I know the fab kit itself has a lot of little doodads. So I'm guessing that the graded floor panel is something that was added in. Same way with these gratings here for the little walkway. A lot of this is technophage circuitry, Sulfrost goodies. Excuse me. This might be another fab kit, what's it called? I don't remember the name of it. It's got some, where you can repair and stuff. Can't think of the name. But I love when people can hide their fab kits that way. Really looks nifty. I don't know what this is. Okay, it says to a space cadet. I guess that's, I don't know. It's pretty weird looking if you ask me. I think this is the entrance to the interior, if I'm not mistaken. I have no idea what most of this, it's all oversized and I don't recognize it. Oh, I love this with the color shifting. They've really played around with the tubing and made it look like different types of liquids. So again, I have no idea. It says Space Cadet stuff. I don't know if that's like an NPC and it's super large and it just happens to have these little electrical bits on it. I really don't know. This is some of that Macari furniture, the table, the chair, technophage goodies, and then they've got a large aquarium here. Again, the little bubbles are coming from those poison spore bits, I believe. Now, it could be that some of the newer underwater decor also gives off those bubbles, and I'm just mistaken on that. But from my experience, the only ones that actually gave off the bubbles was the poison spore. I think there's a bush and a tree. This one here, that little amoeba looking thing, or an anemone, I don't know how to say that properly, but that's the frost spore, I think. It's also the one that you can turn upside down. It has a blue bottom, and a lot of people like to use it as faux water because it kind of has a little bit of movement, and the bigger you make it, the more visible that movement is. So it makes it look like the water's ebbing uh, with a little bit of a come and go effect. And it's solid and opaque and everything. So you don't have the same look maybe if you're going for transparent water, but if it's just like a small pool or something, it works really nicely. Yeah, I think the seaweed and stuff all comes from that underwater decor pack. The cabinetry here, that's medical tables. Again, I know I've said it many times before, but it always, whenever I bring it up, it reminds me that there are two versions of the medical table. They are exactly the same item, other than one costs more than the other. I think one is like silver, and the other one is like a, a gold or something. There's a pretty big difference in pricing. Make sure you choose the cheaper one. Now, I don't remember, I think they both have different names, like maybe one is medical table and another one is like metal table or something. It's something really kind of doofy, but it's the same item, it's just one is way cheaper than the other, so make sure you're getting the cheap one. To give these uh, files or whatever uh, that smoky look again, I think they're using toxic barrels for that effect. Looks really cool though, as if it's some volatile fluids there. Again, the smoky effect for the door, that's one of those haunted items. What else? This little bit here, that's again one of those Macari furnitures, the table, I think. And of course, the Soul Frost tubing, they just recolored it. Same way with these here. I think those are the medical drip decor, and they've just changed the coloring of the decor itself so it looks like different fluids. This here is actually the, can't think of the name, it's a little crane thing that a lot of people use like in construction site areas and stuff. That yellow thing that you get from the daily login reward, and they just got it tucked in so you just see the little part here, and they're making it look like a little zapper of some sort. Just like these, I think, are wine glasses, and they just pushed them down so they look more like bowls of fluid rather than the wine glass. The stems themselves are down below. And of course, the Soul Frost well or Soul well. Um, these little red bits here, I think, are part of a neon sign. Which one in particular, I'm not sure, but it's gonna bug me that I can't remember the name of that, but you know what I'm talking about. This here again, this says Mordesh Prototector. I don't even know what that item is. Apparently a new thing that I've not seen. But I think the blue bladed bit that's going around, I think that's part of that FreeBot analyzer or whatever. Uh, the staircase is also lit up with neon, again, as some of those neon signs. All right, Poi, have a great day. Glad you could join us for the little bit. We'll see you next week, hopefully. This, I think, is from one of the medical, I don't know if it's the analyzer thing or an actual like medical cot or something. Again, the tubing, they're just playing with the coloring of it, jazz it up a little bit. These here, again, modifying the colors, but it's that same uh, technophage emitter, I think is what it's called. Now this is part of one of those Dominion cages, I think. And I'm not sure if the sparking is actually part of that or if they've added some other stuff to it. I honestly don't know. I like how they've jazzed up this coffin to make it more mechanical looking, as if it's some kind of a contraption for a Macari. This is actually some medical equipment that they've got in here in set to make it look all blinged out with stuff, including the medical drip and everything. I think that's a really clever idea. There's like an Ichthian bit down here. The steam is probably coming from one of those. There's a couple of Osun Arctera pieces that has steam coming out of it, and it's probably using some of that. Yeah, like this. I guess this is that space cadet thing. I've never seen that item before, so it's kind of weird. Cool looking, but yeah. This would be a great entrance for like a party room as well, for a discotheque or something. That's why I say, even if you don't particularly like a certain theme of a house that we visit, there's little things you can take away from and go, huh, that would work here, or like a kiddie room, or a fun house if you're trying to do um, like a theme park kind of thing. That would meant to go out the door and not cleanse it, but there you go. I don't know what all is made up of that thing. It's a lot going on. Like here, this part here, that's the same piece that was used at the base of that coffin for part of that getup. Try and jump up here. You can see how they've got the tubing, lots of different tubing. I think this is some barrels and such. The soul frost stacked up, the wells. That's the robot garage repair thingy fab kit. Get up. Sure, I'm not doing it the right way, but certainly not that way. See if I can find the staircase. Uh, this here, not even sure what this is. Okay, this says underground lab. So this is apparently another fab kit. I would assume a newer one because this doesn't look familiar to me, to be honest. Let's have a look, I guess. So yeah, it's a little, presumably a Macari or some other kind of lab works. I know there's a bunch of builders that would love this little chemistry set as a standalone item, and even individual dishes and the syringe and everything. They would absolutely love that. I could just give it to us in one color and then we could just shift it all around. That's like the main thing I'm looking at here because that's a desirable. Yeah, I haven't seen that before. Interesting. These little doodads. Even the cart, I'm sure people would love that because it's got the little wheels and stuff on it. Okay, looking to see if we can get up top here. Apparently not from this way either. How to get up? Oops, I fell right through it. Let me try from the robot guy. Probably doing it really the most awkward way to go about it, but I'm determined. See, I can see the path. There we go. So this is like the above of the train car. And you can see how they've modified the prefab home here quite a bit. I mean, they've added all these little tubes and gadgets and flashy bits, made it into something, again, like a mad scientist lab kind of thing. I don't think there's anything over here other than just this island, but yeah, they just added so many different little doodads to kind of jazz it up. Again, it's a good sign of a builder if they can build something or add to something that's existing and make it look completely different. Yeah, I think this is the geyser fab kit. Shoots you up. It's probably another way to get up above. I'm not gonna do that way. So here's the, I think it's called the Protostar Winterfest house or something. If they've done anything to it. No, but it's there. It's a pretty decent sized space. It kind of reminds me of the haunted house fab kit. It's about the same, I think. You could easily break it down into 2 floors. Um, it's obviously not as expansive as, say, the bunker house space, but it's pretty decent size, especially if you're just looking for some extra interior parts to work. Now, I will say that those fab kits that have interiors, not all of them affect the decor count for the interiors. I think there's 1 or 2 that actually are linked to the exterior, so be mindful of that. I don't know if that's the case still, but that's how it was not long ago. So just something to consider. I'm not sure if there's, I would say you could probably find the info in the forums, but since the changeover to the new forum layout, you can't search up old topics like you could because it just doesn't recognize it when you Google it up. You can see all the threads, but when you try to load it up, it doesn't load up properly. So you just have to use the new search function to see if you can find something that mentions it. But I wouldn't doubt there's some discussion as to which fab kits their interiors are actually linked to the interior or those that are linked to the exterior. Just have to kind of experiment that. Okay, I'm just kind of looking around to see what else before we move off to the next plot. Now I think this little part here, I think that's actually a stone statue from either a decor kit or drop or something from a new area. I think it's a, I think that's it for this plot. Let's move on to the last one. And they've done a fantastic job, I think, of all the water features in this particular community. Again, if you were to come into this plot on its individual status, you would zone in here. This is the Mahana Alt 2. It's by P. Diddy. Yes. Just find the names kind of funny. Again, they're kind of oversizing a lot of the tiki roofs to make the large, not like gazebo type things, but it's kind of similar because it looks like where a group would collect for a meeting or something. We'll go up into those in a little bit and check out the outskirts here. Again, a lot of the overgrowth and stepping stones here in a fun way. This, I like how they're using the shells in very fun, interesting ways. I don't even know where this comes from. It's hilarious looking, but is this a fab kit or something? kind of what it's looking like to me. I have absolutely no idea. This is so weird. It's definitely not something I've seen. I'm only guessing that maybe this is all a single piece. I really don't know. I don't see anything clickable, but it looks like it's on the edge, so I don't think it's an actual fab kit because you can see the border of the plot right there. So, and it can't, it was all into the little corner here. It's beautiful looking. It's got some awesome animation. Almost kind of dizzying to look at it, to be truthful. It reminds me of like a disco ball effect. And the coral is amazing looking. But I honestly have no idea what this comes from. Never seen it before. Pretty nifty looking though. Um, yeah, I don't think it's a fab kit, but it's pretty jazzed up. This just, that's totally ridiculous looking. This here is part of the Red Moon set, I think. The stools and the roundabout here. And it looks like they've got it on top of one of the life preservers. I think is kind of a cute idea. Then this here, I think, is one of the Macari furniture, probably the table, the small round table. And then again, some of this, like the totems and the string lights and stuff, and this little like glass balls or whatever. Some of that's from the Red Moon bits. Beyond that, I have no idea where they come from. This pretty crazy stage thing, it looks like generators, but I think it's those fierce columns or something. It has that weird animation, and it's probably one of the fewer uh, animated items that doesn't necessarily sync up all the way. It's not like the detonators with the little flashy blinky light on the end, where when you're placing it, it blinks out of sync, but then when you come back into the plot from leaving it, they all blink in unison. This particular, the columns here, some of them do and some of them don't. So it makes it look like a light show of some sort. I think that's what it is, just multiples of those, like looks like a couple dozen. Beyond that, I have no clue what that might be. I got the disco ball in there, and of course the DJ guy. And then this piece here, the actual little record player thingy, that's a newer uh, anniversary item, I think. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine. The surfboard, again, comes from set. The beach balls come from the summer decor pack. Same way with the beach towels and the Barbie and the beach umbrella and similar goodies. See, like this part here, I think this is all part of that Red Moon stuff. It's kind of the downside of me not having been playing as regularly as I would like. I miss out on a lot of these new items and where they come from. It also has to do with me not participating in dungeons and raids. I know some of these things are directly from rewards from those particular instances. I don't participate in and haven't for quite a long while. So I only hear about it, from either announcements of those or seeing other people post about them and stuff like that. Now here's the entrance to the instanced area here. I'm pretty sure it's empty. Yep. But I wanted to show you where it is in case you're curious. is located right under the little stones there. Here, under the base, I believe this is a fab kit, one of those Marauder ones where you can turn the NPCs on or off, or toggle them, or however you want to say it. And they've just built it up to kind of be like a kind of like a clubhouse, I guess. I know there's some achievements, I think, associated with this one in particular, where you have to talk to certain people or do certain actions like salute the captain or something. I think most of the building is 2x4s, and this here I think is one of the water silo or water tank or something. It's the graffitied one. And then of course you can see like some of the Winterfest lights and such that have been dressed up on it. But a good portion of this on the bottom is just the fab kit itself, like this little cookery part. But as we progress up, it's more and more custom, like the dance floor here. Like the trimming here is from the neon signs. And then you got all the retro blocks here. This part is the Osun furnace, I think it's called. And then they've just thrown on all the little kebabs and stuff on there. This is a combination of the Red Moon bar and the Tiki bar. They blend really nicely. The curve is pretty much the same, so it meshes well with it. Let's see if there's anything else really specific that you need to point out. And then this here, who knows if they have plans to add something or just simply ran out of space, which is very possible. We've come across a lot of builds in the past where it looks like it's undone or there's still room to grow, but out of necessity, the builder just can't expand any further. Maybe it's a recent addition. Now, again, this was one of the honorable mentions from the housing competition that they had last year, the end of last year. And it may be that this particular structure has been added more recently and they just haven't finished putting it together. I have no idea. But, you can obviously see potential for like meeting hall, someplace where they could do awards, or maybe like an open kind of inn type of thing, I guess. Something along that line. An open market, that would work too. Or just picnic places, like a lot of tables and such. The little moody guy is going crazy over here. Very colorful. I like it. Typically, I'm not really big on the psychedelic kind of weird colors, but it works well with this particular build. And maybe it's because they use it everywhere and it just kind of blends everything in. Notice this little table raised area. That's two of those brown round tables that I absolutely hate. ATW, yeah, I really do. I don't know if the Sky remodel is like the Hellfire one or something, but this coloring, this kind of creepy, it's like you're on drugs or something, I guess. Uh, it works for this particular plot. It looks kind of gone native or something. So this, I think, is a combination of the space taco stand, and then they've got like the lop stove there. Um, Added some actual tacos, and then underneath is a tiki bar, and you got some tiki bars rounding out the back to kind of box it in a little bit more. And then on top of it, I think it's the Draken shop, witch's shop or something. And then it's the same thing over here. They just got several little eateries. This little fire thing is just a dome with a fire pit. I think it's actually a fire pit and a campfire smushed together. Kind of jazz it up a little bit. Over here we have another one of those little booth things. I think again it's um, the Draken Witches shop stall thingy, and then they've just kind of jazzed it up a little bit with the tiki bars and other tiki goodies, the surfboards, the beach towels. So it's like a gift slash supply shop or something. Go this way. Okay, I think I'm just coming back around. I was looking to see where I get to that part. I guess it's up above. Hope I don't have to go all the way back to the other plot just to get to that. And maybe from this bridge here. Maybe. Oh, I feel a sneeze going on. Sorry. I usually scare our cats when I do that. They've gotten used to me, like if I do a big inhale, I go, they're like already running off because I scare the crap out of, especially the little white one. She does not like me sneezing. Like I can't help it. This is the way, and it just gets louder and louder as I go. I have multiple sneezes going on. Okay, we're kind of back at the front where we first started the plot, so or the community. Oof. Here's a little bird's eye view of where we were just running around. Those are the little dance hall there, that water area with the weird shell thingy. Um, the Marauder bit, I think, is underneath here. The little food court eatery area, and then that giant, um, whatever that is, meeting hall or something. Yeah, I think this is where we can go down the slide to the water bit. We're just going to hop over here. Again, it's just a better view of where you can see all the waterfalls and how they've meshed them into the rock formations that they've got surrounding this community, how they've used the overgrowth to kind of blend it in a little better. And even kind of playing around with how they've got, not just the rope bridges, but the little rock outcropping or whatever you want to call it. Again, I can't decide if this is like some kind of a weird valley kind of thing, because it's not a cave, because the stone that's above doesn't actually encase the whole sky area. So I don't know how they're working it, what they're intending to make it look like, but there you go. Okay, backtracking the twirligig thing. Again, I think the majority of the stone is either stepping stones from Starcom Basin or that uh, Serene Head statue thing. And they've literally used, I wouldn't doubt, hundreds of those things because they're all over the place. But they've got a good texture. They've got like a little bit of, it's not perfectly smooth. And of course, the mossy bits on it gives it a little extra character. So in theory, you would be gliding down this little chute, or maybe using your hoverboard to get some. All right, Bones, I'll see you later. Thanks for dropping by. We're about done anyway, getting close. And then you just plunge off into the water down here, I guess. Hopefully not taking damage like I just did. But yeah, interesting decor piece here. I have never seen it before, so that was a surprise, a pleasant one. But sadly, I can't tell you most of what these pieces are because I just don't recognize them. Okay, I think that's about it for here. Because again, there's no interior to look at because it's basically empty. I think we visited all these buildings here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that about sums it up. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tour along with all the others we've done. Again, we export all of our stream videos over to YouTube. So if you have missed any of them, you can either look at them via the highlights from Twitch, or you can go straight to my YouTube channel. It's all linked there in the info section if you're interested. Uh, it's it's basically there for your guys' enjoyment. It's not only for to give the builders a little bit of a few minutes of fame, I guess, but also to kind of it's a great way to kind of document for posterity's sake a lot of these builds because if you go back to some of our older videos, a lot of those places don't exist anymore. They've either been revamped so much that they just don't look anything like they used to, or the builder has just completely scrapped that particular idea and moved on to something else. So it's one of those deals where, you know, it's a chance to see how some places have evolved into a different kind of look, or just to kind of reminisce about old builds that you can't actually physically visit anymore. Um, I could name quite a few of my own that have uh, gone the way of the dodo, but it's true for many of our builders because you know you can only have so many alts, but you can have like you know hundreds of ideas, and it requires you to kind of take the leap and say, well, I'm going to completely wipe the slate clean and start something different because you know everybody wants to you know continue with the building and playing around with ideas, and especially when new decor comes out, it kind of encourages people to try different things, and then it just one thing leads to another, and it's just completely different. So yeah, if you find yourself some extra time on your hands and you're interested in seeing some of the amazing works that people put together, be free to peruse our hundreds of videos. I think we're well over 500 by now, probably. Um, many hours of footage. Um, there's not just the tours as well. We have a lot of tutorials and some of my own custom building that I did live at the time, to kind of show people my own personal way or approach to building. Some of my thought processes I would try and explain as to why I used a particular item in certain cases and not in others. But it's also the same for when we do our tours. I know a lot of people just want to see the pretty uh, layout and the pretty landscapes that people put together, but I like to kind of try and um, uh, give my impressions as to what I think a particular area is used for, or the items that they use. Granted, I can't name everything, and I'm probably wrong a good amount of time on what I suspect they've used, but I also try to give alternative ideas. Like if we see someone that's used water, an item to represent water, there's other items that could be used too, in case somebody new can't get a hold of certain things. There are alternatives out there, and I try to help with that. But um, yeah, hopefully you find something useful, something inspirational to contribute to your own projects. Or even if you're not working on something right now, maybe something in the future. Maybe you're new to WildStar and are looking for reasons to stick around and just haven't delved into housing and are considering giving it a shot. Hopefully we will give you the extra little push or encouragement to get into it. It's not something that will happen overnight, especially builds as extensive as this one. It's not something you're going to whip out, right straight away. It's a gradual thing. You start small and you just kind of build up from there. Um, it's one of those things that's not only a money investment per se, as far as like game currency and stuff. Yes, there are instances where you could use real money, but I don't, and I still have had plenty of fun. Um, but it's also a time investment. It's not something that, at least for someone that if you end up enjoying it, you're not going to just do it like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You're going to end up spending hours without even realizing it half the time. I know I've had many long nights and not realized that, bedtime's come and gone because I'm so absorbed in the building and playing around with the objects and stuff. So hopefully you will find it as mesmerizing. It can be a kind of a horrible obsession at times. So fair warning, if you become addicted to it, it's pretty scary in that respect. But I hope you have a lot of fun with it. And these tours and stuff is just to kind of give you some food for thought, as far as if you're looking for specific themes or ideas or ways to use a particular item other than what it looks like it's meant to be. So hopefully that draws you out and gets you into the housing. So that's it for this week, guys. We will be back next week, hopefully. Fingers crossed, everything, no sickies happen. Back on Jabbit. This was the last competition winner, honorable mention / winner for entity side. But I think we still have a couple to go through for Jabbit side. And then we will start mixing in between community tours. We'll also be throwing in some individual plot tours. So be looking forward to that. Again, we do this every Wednesday, and the Thursday and Friday stuff is just if it is necessary, because I can't always stream an entire community in a single go because it gets kind of overwhelming. I lose my voice and my rear end goes sleepy, so just bear with us if it happens to be an extended one. But yeah, hope you guys had fun. Good luck with whatever you might be working on, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.